Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Good evening and welcome to Plank of the Week. It's that time of the week already. Can't believe how quickly this week has gone. You might notice that all of us today are wearing an extra special pin, which has been provided by Will Geddes, who's on the show. Thank you very much, Will. Should introduce the panel. Maddie Hale, of course, is here. James Whale is here. Georgie Frost is here. Will Geddes is here. And he's brought these lovely pins, which are D-Day commemorative poppies. Anyway, shall we get going? Maddie, you're going to go first off to the United States of America.
We're going to the US. I am nominating Joe Biden's team.
Well done.
Okay, I'm nominating the whole team, I've decided.
The whole lot of them, yeah.
Because I just think there's so much noise, so many articles, so much being written and seen about his cognitive status.
Yeah.
I just think that they need to sit him down for a cognitive exam. And this has been going on for so long. I say this because this week the Wall Street Journal wrote this big piece where they interviewed 45 Republican and Democratic lawmakers where both sides of the political aisle basically expressed concerns about the way he performs and the way he's kind of deteriorated, so to speak.
Because he's deteriorated a lot just even in the last year, hasn't he?
And Kevin McCarthy was one of the people that was actually named in the interview, and he said he's a different person to he was when he was the vice president. I mean, you don't need to be a voter on any side to realise watching his press conferences. And I report on US politics, so I'm watching them all day. He is slipping.
He's not in a good way. Let's have a look. We've actually got a clip here of something that he did just a couple of days ago.
Politics with the war.
What?
What's that?
What's that?
So,
I mean, it is awful, isn't it?
It is
watch it, you
just
think,
like...
but he's in charge of the United States
I
of
know,
America,
I
and
know.
NATO, and
Is
everything.
his hand steady enough to
I
press
don't
the
think
button?
so.
A country the size of America,
Yes.
there must be other people.
I know.
I mean,
Well, there's Donald Trump.
Is that the best that we can get?
no, but I mean, there must be people in their 40s or 50s.
There are.
Yeah.
Who would actually be
the trouble is that
no
their
charisma.
system is such that they raise people to be senators and congressmen and women, and then they have governors. And there isn't really, I mean, there are various names I could throw at you, none of whom you'd have heard of, right?
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom, for example, from California.
He's probably the only one that
But he's wrecked California.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I think he's the only one that people would... I mean, I think the Democrats look at Gavin Newsom and they're like, he's this tall, good-looking guy. He's good at speaking, but he's of California.
Looks like Mike.
Similar.
Looks exactly like
Very
Mike.
similar. It's not as interesting as you know.
But he doesn't have... he's completely wrecked California. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, the Democratic Party sent him off to China to meet with Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
Is that not a sign that they're
My
trying to
son
train
lives
him
in
up?
California, right? Lives in Long Beach, and he was quite woke a few years ago. But after several years of Gavin Newsom, he absolutely hates the Democrats.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to go anywhere near them.
Is anybody really ever going to beat Trump?
Well, you bring Trump up because it's a good thing you did, because we were able to, and we couldn't include the Trump story in the Plank of the Week last week because it happened just after we finished doing it. But I would have nominated Juan Merchan, who is the judge in the case, right, for pushing the jury to basically come up with any kind of old guilty verdict as long as they found one. It was supposed to be a unanimous verdict, but he changed the rules and he went, no, as long as you can find a couple of them, you can just get him on all of them. And suddenly he was found guilty of 34 counts of doctoring his accounts.
Which makes me think it's completely rigged.
Of course it's rubbish.
Yes.
The whole thing is completely
I mean,
nonsense.
how often do you actually hear of 34 convictions, all of which
Never.
come in?
No.
here?
But it's 34 counts
Never
of
do.
one thing. That's basically
Exactly.
it. And every single... It's a bit like when they did him on the communications from the White House in Georgia. I think they've got him on all sorts of 91 counts or something.
Yeah.
One of the counts is sending an email. All right, and you go, well, that's not really a crime. You know, you can't be calling that some kind of criminal activity. So if you go through all these cases, it's absolutely ridiculous. But this week, he decided to join TikTok, even though he hates it.
The president is now on TikTok. It's my honor.
I think that was him at the UFC.
That's him and Dana White.
Yeah, he went
White
with
head of
Dana. He got introduced to the UFC.
Yeah.
And they love
I mean,
him, absolutely love him.
He's got a huge fan base there.
Oh, yeah, within the UFC support camp, absolutely huge.
My whole thing with that TikTok is, though, I mean, I'm not a Trump fan, I'm not a Biden fan.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, James.
You've got to go one side or the other.
I'm definitely a Trump
I just think
Me
the TikTok
too.
thing is so ridiculous. Both Biden and Trump have publicly stated, like, they've both wanted to ban it. They've both said it's a threat to national security. They've both. I think Trump wanted to even like get a commission into it. I don't even know.
Right.
They both have said this. It's just so funny.
And do you remember that Biden TikTok was awful, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've done it on
we did
the
it
plank.
on the show.
Biden's TikTok, you need to go on it. It's hilarious. It is so bad because it's a Gen Z running it. It's actually quite funny to watch, but it makes me laugh that both of these people have publicly denounced TikTok and then campaign heats up when you get those young voters.
Is it definitely run by the Chinese?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Well, why don't they ban it?
Well, they have banned it in America. I mean, they banned it in Congress. They banned it. You can't use it. You can't use it in Parliament in Westminster, apparently.
Finally.
But I'm sure some of them, I bet you there are still people who aren't using it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What's another criminal charge for Trump? I mean, he's just adding to the roster, isn't he?
I mean, they can't really ban anything in any part of the world now. It's called the internet. But we'll come back to that. James, over to you. You've got a revisit of those nice people at Youth Demand.
I was just having a really nice, relaxed time, sitting here with you lovely people, having a drink of water, thinking about a glass of wine. But, and then you said, would I talk about this completely, utterly disgusting, dysfunctional bunch of kids who, quite frankly, need... Are you allowed to say this? I don't care. They need their trousers pulling down and a good spanking. That's what they actually need.
I think that's probably not what they would wish. I suppose you could say it.
You're the one to do it.
Yeah.
No.
Bring back the birch.
We bring back the birch and with a bit more discipline.
Yes.
But this one woman on the programme going on about how people like you and me are genocide enablers we're...
it's all a bit dull, isn't it?
It's really stupid, but such a thick... For somebody who's a university graduate, I'm being very rude about it because I think she's been equally as rude about me.
Yes.
And I worry about the youth of today. What are they learning?
And these are, by the way, the people who have sort of amalgamated the Free Palestine movement and Just Stop Oil.
There is no such place actually called Palestine.
There are two things that they want, right? They want a Free Palestine and they want us to stop drilling for oil and gas. It's kind of like, it's one or the other, guys. Come on, surely. You can't have both.
The interesting thing is, and we should roll this into this, is that we're hearing conversations, and we can't go political, I know, so don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry.
But we're hearing, that there's a possibility of bringing back national service, not necessarily military, because, well, you've got contacts with the military. They don't want that, really.
They definitely don't want that. No.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we have a look at the clip of you and said individual.
I was trying to talk so much you weren't going to play that.
Ella Taylor, here it is.
Yeah. Unfortunately, collateral damage happens when you're fighting. But these
targeting children is not collateral damage. How dare you refer to children as collateral damage?
Don't you say how dare me. I am saying something from a sensible, serious point of view, and I am not going to have people like you go on about you're a genocide enabler. You hate...
How dare you say Israel target children?
They do not target children.
How dare you say that?
War targets
why would they do that? That would be so stupid of them, wouldn't it? Why don't you call for Hamas to release the hostages, which would start a ceasefire immediately?
But there's another piece of footage that we've got of these protesters from Youth Demand being arrested.
This government is complicit in genocide. I will not move until there is an arms embargo on Israel. We need to resist. The people have the power. We have to stand up.
It's time to be on the street.
Go right. Head for the coast.
We're going to be disrupting in London. We're going to be blocking the roads. We're going to be blocking the bridges. It's going to happen on the 22nd of June. We're back again. Sign up at youthdemand.org.
I would hang him.
That's just ridiculous.
I'm fed up in the tent.
What is wrong with these people?
Listen, I've got to say something, and it's quite serious.
Is it? Okay.
So the woman I interviewed...
Ella Taylor.
Whatever her name is. I couldn't give a one way or the other. But...
How dare you say that?
How dare you say that? She nicked that from Greta Thunberg.
How dare you?
But I said, what is happening on the 6th of June?
Yes.
What are we remembering in this country?
Yeah.
I'm not here to talk about that. What are you talking about? I don't know about that. Blah, 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 blah. Had no idea of the history of this country and Europe and everything else.
Yeah.
And then...
And Australia, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay. I'm sorry.
James.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that.
Okay, I am sorry. I don't say that often. But I was just amazed that here's someone who's gone through university, is educated, is
supposedly
now, an activist, a representative activist, doesn't know what D-Day represents.
No.
You can't argue with them. They will just argue, oh, but It's not about the past, it's about our future.
Yeah, it's about the
We're
future.
protecting the future.
Yes,
You know,
of
that's
course.
what it's all about.
But also, they did one of the newspapers.
You're celebrating war.
Yeah, one of the newspapers went out on the streets and actually asked a load of Gen Xers what they thought D-Day was, and some of the answers were quite remarkable.
Yeah.
Some thought it was the end of the war. Some guy said, "Oh, I think it's the end of the world, isn't it? You know, when D-Day comes and we all get killed by something." I mean, it was unbelievable.
That is a phrase for it.
Yeah.
It's the irony of the fact that they don't understand that the benefits of free speech that are afforded to them to come out with this gibberish.
They wouldn't be sort of shouting into the camera, "We're going to block the roads. We're going to do this. We're going to."
Yeah, everything's happening, mate.
If our fathers and grandfathers, great-grandfathers had not fought, then we wouldn't be here.
No,
We'd be speaking a different language.
And there certainly wouldn't be any protests, would there?
And there wouldn't be any talk TV and radio.
No, and that would be a crying shame.
That would be a shame. Anyway, let's move on. Georgie, what have you got?
Yeah, I'm going for the Royal Stoke Hospital because, as you all know, it is Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, everybody. And they unfurled a banner in their hospital which said, "Everyone is welcome here." Great. You know, that's what you imagine the NHS is for. Yeah. And I don't think that's entirely true, though, because what they've done is they had a flag with 21 genders and sexualities on it. Oh. You might think, 21. That's quite a lot.
Yes.
Just going down the list here.
I do.
Neutras.
What?
Neutras?
No. This is where it gets weird.
That identifies as neither man nor woman and has no gender. Aromantic or aromantic.
See, I know this one because I've done this one before. Aromantic is somebody who's not very romantic with
which
you.
Is
which
most
is basically
men,
like
right?
most men. It's like, so you go out with a woman, right? You sleep with her, and then you never call her again. That's it.
Mike, you player.
I mean,
who knew there was a name for it?
There's demi-romantic here, which is marvellous.
Is that something to do with Demi Moore?
No, it's that only feels a romantic attraction after an emotional bond is formed, which is probably women, generally. But they've also got straight allies. Any non-LGBTQIA+ person who supports the rights of the community. So basically, not everyone is welcome.
Right.
Because if you don't support certain rights or you are gender critical or those sorts of things, you're probably not. This is Royal Stoke. Let me just remind you about...
What a bunch of idiots you are.
Royal Stoke. Rather than unfurling a banner that you've spent however long trying to work out 21 genders and sexualities, why is something like... maybe, look, correct me here, but why is something like, I don't know, feet fetishes or dogging not on there? I mean, look, I don't know.
also, why do all of these...
Because, of course, they should be.
Well, I mean, like, I'm just saying, I have... My proclivities extend to neither of those, but...
I've never even heard of these before you said it. Is this like a known thing?
I don't know, but someone must have done research.
Yeah, dogging, James. Let's get back onto
we
that.
We don't need to go down that road.
I don't think there's a flag for that. No. You could just put your flag up, couldn't you? I'm ready now.
Well, when you meet somebody, you go, woof.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
The point being of all of this is the good people of Stoke or wherever North Midlands NHS Trust are just thinking, I don't want a banner.
No.
That says welcome. I would like to be treated. They've been waiting for weeks. The University Hospitals, North Midlands NHS Trust, one of the worst performing, 102 out of 120 trusts in England for care of their patients. I mean, this is ridiculous. It got to a stage in January where to fill out a form to go to hospital, you had to go through 159 religions.
Right.
12 genders and 10 sexual preferences.
By the time you filled out that form, you put
Or feet fetish.
I haven't, or feet fetish, or any sort of fetish, because that's essentially where we're getting to.
Yeah,
we
This is ridiculous.
Can I
Focus on what you need to do.
He gets asked if he's pregnant every time he comes into hospital. You know,
it's the key mark.
Yeah.
I really got it in for the man. Listen, the NHS doctors, nurses, as you know, they're keeping me going.
Yeah.
They're doing. And people think I should have gone a long time ago, but they're keeping me going. And I have nothing but respect for them. But the management, and was it on your show when the head of the Royal College of Nursing was on, who said diversity is important because there's so much bullying in the NHS?
Right.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I said, well, shouldn't you would rather the money was spent on more nurses? Oh, no, she said. I much prefer to have more diversity people because we need them as well. I was
the
going,
reality is they spent 13 million on 330 diversity roles.
Yeah.
But there was some research done by The Telegraph in December that actually shows, and this is not funny, that all of this woke diversity is actually making people feel worse for minority groups. So it's actually making them feel worse. What are you wasting your money on? Focus on what you need to do.
And there's a lot of money being wasted
taking
on
pressure off your staff with long waiting lists.
There's another one this week while we're on the subject of
Are we plugging your show again?
Yeah, you are talking over each other as well, which I'm trying to stop you from doing. Cross-country railways. Have you heard about them this week?
No.
They're in trouble because they painted a train It's called transphobia now because apparently they painted this as for LGBT colours, but they forgot the trans bit. Because, you know, that's all they've got.
What colour's that?
Well, I don't know. What are you asking me for? I mean, you know.
Triangle.
James will know. He's an expert in these matters. But it's something that, anyway, they missed
Definitely
off.
blue.
So now the train's being boycotted by trans activists on the grounds that it hasn't got the right flag on it.
Oh, no.
So they've tried to
does that mean they're not going to travel on the train?
No.
Awesome. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Because they don't like travel on the train because it's got a gender-neutral toilet. So there's no point going on it because they can't campaign for it. It's already there.
What's happened to our education system that we've got so many stupid people in positions of authority?
IQ's going down, and I think it's got something to do with the internet.
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely does.
Definitely social media.
I also think kids aren't learning soft emotional skills these days. As in just like being able to orchestrate conversations with people and interact.
Yeah. I mean, you're the leading sort of light of this generation.
Yeah, well, I'm obviously, I'm a figurehead.
You've learned, you're a figurehead. You've actually learned how to communicate with people.
But I sit I'm a millennial, so I sit in my birth where I'm 30 now. So I've grown up without internet.
God, I thought you were so much younger.
Gen X.
Thank you.
Right. I'm not sure you can say that. Sorry.
I'm not sure. Is that ageist?
No, I'll take it.
And stop touching you on the arm.
Mike, it's up to me to decide if I'm offended, and I loved it. So.
Yeah, but if you're Gen X, it's not up to you. It's up to them.
Exactly.
Gen X will decide whether you're offended or not. Right, Will, what's your
Okay, so I'm sure most of us saw Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, which was that great drama put on ITV, which was sadly the one thing that raised everybody's awareness to just the wrongdoings against these fantastic postmasters and sub-postmasters from this horrendous Fujitsu Horizon system, which obviously was interfered with in various different ways. And there were, as a consequence, 900 prosecutions, wrongful prosecutions.
And at no point did anyone think, maybe we've got this wrong.
No, absolutely.
They must all be crooks.
Absolutely. Right? And there were a number of people also who committed suicide. So many people's lives were completely wrecked financially, emotionally, and psychologically, and physically in this instance. So what a surprise that the Post Office has turned round and renewed a contract for 5 years for £180 million to extend with the same Horizon system.
Isn't it?
How did they even get through?
No.
And also, you know, Fujitsu, when this all blew up and everybody went, because they own the Horizon, network, right? Fujitsu have already got into the government for about 4 or 5 other big contracts, including, believe it or not, something to do with the water in this country. And guess what's wrong? You know, Fujitsu are running the water companies in this country.
So, aren't they Chinese?
Fujitsu, Japanese.
Oh, well, that might not be as bad.
So anyway, moving on.
Do you want to tell how many postmasters and mistresses that have...
I mean, fundamentally, I think you couldn't get more of a tone-deaf PR marketing campaign by the Post Office by agreeing to 180.
Did not they just do it without
180
thinking anyone
million.
was not going to notice?
I've no idea. I think maybe someone was so.
I think you know what the problem is. And you'll know this from like the Ministry of Defence. It's a service, right? All they do is they go, oh yeah, we've got a contract with them. Yeah. And they can do that as well. Yeah. Same thing happens with Serco. You know, these people that handle all the illegal
what we call
migrants
cross-contamination.
You know, well, Serco can handle that. They can take prisoners from one place.
Aren't there any people in
charge?
Bid? Yeah. It's who offers the cheapest bid generally. There's not a lot that goes into this kind of decision making. That's how you've had so many of these big companies that have really messed up on big projects. Yeah. There's really little thought going into it. The only defence for that sort of deal is that, well, God, all eyes are going to be on them right now. So if they make any kind of mistake, you would hope they would all be all over it. But they should be doing it for free.
There's no defence at all.
That's the key word, is the hope.
The problem...
Sorry. Up on it.
But he'll cut me off in a minute.
I don't cut you off.
Problem
shut up, we've only really got an hour.
The problem is that the civil servants are useless, all of them.
They are.
And they're the ones who make these decisions.
Well, they're too busy being woke, James. That's the thing. They're too busy painting, floral, arrangements and rainbows all over.
But have we seen any successful prosecutions of senior management within the Post Office? As yet.
Not
exactly.
Yet.
So you
Some
have
people think there should
all these poor people who were providing the infrastructure to this country that helped small communities with, whether it be stamps, packaging, all sorts of things, who have been so wrongfully treated. And you have the Post Office. I mean, it senses me that the Post Office even has the nuts, excuse my expression, to turn around and say, yes, we're going to continue with this software and not move it as anybody would. I mean, I advise companies on crisis management, and the last thing I would be advising is, oh, yeah, go back to the Duff company that got you in the SH1T in the first place.
I know.
Give them more money.
It is absolutely extraordinary. So, we've reached halfway through the show already, but we've only done about 4 of the first nominations, so we've still got 6 to go. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about D-Day because there's a D-Day plank coming, and it's going to be going overseas. You might not be surprised to know. Also, we're going to head to the Amazon. There's a great story over there as well. This is Plank of the Week. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. Talk amongst yourselves. That can stop now because it was D-Day this week, which is why I'm wearing this rather nice Union Jack tie and why everybody's wearing these little pins which commemorate D-Day, the 80th anniversary. Incredibly, lots of things happened, right? There was a big do down in Portsmouth. There was a huge to-do, of course, over in Normandy, as there always is. A sort of ever-dwindling number of veterans were able to go to Normandy, but they still managed to get there, and a dwindling number also managed to get to Portsmouth. And, of course, there's all sorts of things like the royal family was over, King Charles was there, he was in Portsmouth as well, Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer went over. You know, here we have also the British Army getting involved, right? And you'll never guess what happened. They decided to do a parachute leap out over Normandy to sort of commemorate what happened, because there was another operation that went on behind Operation Overlord where they dropped a lot of people in the dark, mind you, not knowing where they were going, to get behind sort of enemy lines. So the parachute regiment decided to go off and do a little jumping out of a plane exercise. And you know what happened when they landed?
Yeah.
Here it is here. They've landed. You'll see some people still coming down the back. The French decided to set up a little table where they could check their passports.
That's gratitude
Really?
for you, isn't it?
Can you believe that?
And when we bailed them out of
That's gratitude for you.
Oh, my God.
They've actually got a laptop there. I think we watched that again. They've got a laptop there, right? It's absolutely extraordinary. They're stamping their passports.
Oh, wow.
Because they're now no longer in the European Union.
Thank goodness we're not.
I mean, can you actually believe that? Have you ever heard of anything so ridiculous, right?
Wow.
Well, hundreds of British soldiers, crack paratroopers, jumping to commemorate their lost,
and rescuing
ancestors.
France.
Yeah.
And rescuing France, and this is the way they're repaid.
The big problem we have is that was probably all the parachutists we have.
Right. Well, this was the
that's a good
16. This was
point.
the 16 Air Assault Brigade.
Yeah.
But I'm also nominating France for a second reason, because we actually interviewed on the same day, the 80th anniversary, General Sir Chip Chapman. He was a former UK commander who was in Brittany, and he'd gone to France to help commemorate the Normandy landings, but he couldn't get to Normandy. Why? Because the French were on strike.
What?
He couldn't get a train. The trains were on strike on D-Day.
Yeah.
Could I say something about the Normans?
The funny thing is,
French.
Knowing a number of paras, as I do, I'm really surprised the French got through that in a civil way.
Yes.
Because I think most paras, they probably would have dealt with it slightly differently.
I know.
We should just make it clear. I used to know a lot of people who lived in Normandy. And the Normans do not consider they're French. In fact, the Normans don't like the French very much.
No.
And I think, often they get forgotten that part of France and Brittany and other bits of France still consider that they are independent.
Well, the French are not too keen on any French government, really, are they? I mean, it's not a question of their politics. They just don't like government.
Yeah.
So, but what a shocking way to,
I know, it's disgusting.
treat
I think
people.
it's really disgusting. The Americans who were part of the jump as well, they came in yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they had all their IDs checked as well.
Right.
I mean, it's bananas.
It's
I mean,
daft.
they're all in DPM.
Also,
They've got all the jump
They
kit
don't
on.
bother checking their IDs of the people leaving, by the way. When they get
they're
on the
quite happy to
dinghies.
push them out into the middle of the channel. Yeah.
Maybe they could move that little, that little table, the tub, put it on the beach.
I thought
they could start stamping their
it was going to be a
passports.
table full of food.
Yeah.
Welcome me, and I was like,
and some brandy.
They didn't do it to the king, did they?
I hope not.
No, that would be appalling.
I'm not sure if he's got a
Yes.
passport. Does the king have a passport? He doesn't need one, does he?
No.
Sure,
I wouldn't have thought so.
He's got a picture of himself already in the passport.
Yeah.
Right?
Or he just brings a new fiver out.
Yeah.
here I am.
Maddie, you've got one of my favourite stories of the week.
You're loving this, Mike. I actually
love it.
don't even know who I'm recommending for the plank, but the story in itself is quite, I'm going to say, entertaining.
You can make it the tribe if you want.
I'm going to make it the tribe, but I don't want to be insensitive. Basically, Elon Musk...
At this point, they're too busy to notice at the moment, to be honest.
They're not actually watching Talk, weirdly. But a remote tribe in the Amazon was given Starlink, Elon Musk's satellite company, and it's for them to be able to have internet access. It's so, helicopters can easily reach the small village on the Amazon to bring aid or even be able to locate them if anyone's
Are they just
sick.
Are they shopping though, aren't they? I mean,
Yeah,
they're going to bring Amazon to the Amazon.
Yeah, literally. They're
right?
able to basically live, like 24/7, 21st century civilians.
Yeah, I've got to get me one of those air fryers.
But
okay, mate.
The article from The Sun is that they've had this internet access since April this year, and it's been incredible for them to have this. But some of the tribe members have said that a lot of the members are now hooked on porn.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew that you were going to say that, Maddie. I knew you were going to say that.
And some of the tribe members are saying that they're not doing.
They've all started trolling each other.
They're not doing their work. They're not doing their hunting and their fishing.
No.
Which is what they obviously need to survive.
Too busy masturbating.
Because they're too busy sending each other photos and look addicted to porn and on Instagram.
I love it.
You get over it, though.
When we did this story,
don't change.
Yeah, you get over it. You get to a certain age.
I'm staying out of this conversation after my previous one.
No, but when we did this on the show this week, I said, it goes to prove that you can wreck any civilization with the internet. Because we've already wrecked ours. Yeah. We've now started to wreck.
And you can indoctrinate any teenager with whatever you want.
On a serious
and now Amazonian
note,
tribes, so
they probably had to adjust Prime as well, didn't they?
Who gave him an iPhone? He ordered it on Amazon, obviously.
Excellent.
On a serious note, I think we need to actually realise that the internet and everything, all this new technology is not going anywhere.
Right.
And so therefore we have to change education and the way we deal with it.
Well, I did wonder, do children, and this is probably just a naive question, but you've got youngish kids,
They're not anymore young,
Mike.
but yeah, they're older
But when
now.
they're at school, does kids have to handwrite still?
No. Don't think I've ever seen any.
No.
They do write
Really?
things down. But most of what they do...
do like their exams handwritten.
Everything's on...
Most of it's...
To me, imagine losing the skill of being able to handwrite an essay for 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Well, this is what people say, isn't it? You saw that thing earlier was it last week, where they had the opposable thumb that you could get as an extra thing to stick on your hand. I didn't like the look of that, to be honest, because, I mean, he's already thinking what he can do with it. Go on, Will, that's disgraceful. But,
It would never happen on your show.
But the point is that you'll end up evolving into, like, you just have fins or something. You just have two fingers, won't you? You won't need 5.
I think they'd still have
Except if you're in the Amazon, obviously.
I still had to do a bit of typing at school.
I dictate.
Yeah, you get up there and command the class. Move over,
sort
teacher.
of chalk and slate.
This is the thing. This is very good, though. We've had some. This is one of the greatest series of nominated people I think I could ever think of. And you've got an even better one, James. I don't know who's going to win this one.
Well, I'm not sure because he's actually an old friend of mine, but Ian Dale.
Yeah.
Who took over from me on LBC many years ago.
Did he?
He did recently handed his notice in to become an MP.
Right. Something he said he'd always wanted to do.
He's a publisher, really, and he's very involved, worked at
very
Westminster.
Successful publisher.
Very successful indeed. But he always wanted to be an MP, take a bit of a cut in money and go down the ladder a bit. And so he'd always wanted to be an MP, so he decided he'd stand for Tunbridge Wells.
Yes.
So he gave in his notice to the radio station he worked on and put forward himself. Unfortunately, people in politics are not very nice, are they?
They're really
and
not.
if you say something, that's why I always think best to say, oh, so what? Stuff it.
Yeah.
But the fact is that he'd said he didn't really like Tunbridge Wells.
What?
Oops.
Oh, from years before?
Well, he lives not far from Tunbridge Wells, but he didn't really... It was
but he was also standing for Tunbridge Wells. To be the MP for Tunbridge Wells.
I think Tunbridge Wells is a nice place. Do you know?
I haven't
very, very well. Yeah,
I grew up in the Garden of England.
It's kind of known as well, isn't it, for sort of Mr. Angry with Tunbridge Wells. It's kind of middle-class Britain. It's the sort of place that's sort of leafy, it's a bit suburban.
Oh, it sounds great.
He would have got in.
Yeah, he
as a Conservative candidate. But so he's out.
No, but it was worse than that. He didn't just say bits of it he didn't like. He said that he hated living in Tunbridge Wells and he couldn't wait to move out. He wished he lived somewhere else.
Yeah.
When did he say that, though?
Yeah, he said it. Not only did he said it 2 years ago.
Oh, only 2 years ago.
Only 2 years ago on a podcast that he makes, right?
Surely your team's like...
He claims that he forgot that he'd said it. He then resigned from his job at the radio station, right?
He got
and then he said, I'm going to take some time because I don't know what I'm going to do to sort of take account of what's happened, and he was very thankful for all the people who were nice to him. And then suddenly, about 2 days later, he was back doing his show again.
Very
it was almost as like it was one of those, Dallas moments, wasn't it? The shower scene where everybody just went, I don't remember what happened. One minute he was there, then Bobby Ewing. One minute he was there, you're looking mystified.
He's a very nice bloke, I have to say. But this is the plankiest thing I've heard for a long time.
And it's also it's the plankiest thing he's ever done as well.
Yeah.
Right, we better have another break, haven't we? Because we do those as well. Coming up, we're going to be talking about an Italian woman who's quite old, who wants to have a baby, and also fasces for Palestine. That sounds intriguing. Will Geddes will bring us that. This is Plank of the Week. So, we're back, and of course, apparently we have to introduce each segment now because that's a new thing, which we didn't used to do, but we're going to do it now. Yeah. Anyway, Georgie, are you ready for yours?
I'm ready, yes,
are you?
Absolutely,
Good.
yeah.
Well, would you like to carry on? OK,
we'll do.
Thank you.
I'm going to pick a lady, a new mother. She's called Flavia Alvaro, in northern Italy.
Yes.
And congratulations, she's just had a little baby, Sebastian.
Oh, very nice. Well done.
And she went through quite an ordeal to get Sebastian.
And there she is.
And she's also 63.
What?
So they obviously
She's a funny
don't allow
colour,
it.
isn't she? Yeah. She looks a bit green.
Doesn't look so well.
She doesn't look great.
So they don't. Well, I won't make reference to how she looks, but she is 63.
She looks a bit green.
She has. Well, to be fair to her, to get Sebastian, she had to go to Ukraine,
right?
Because they don't do it in Italy. Italy's quite strict.
Is this an IVF scenario?
Yeah, they won't. Yeah, you have to at that age. Well, not
I thought you meant
always,
she'd gone to Ukraine to get pregnant. I didn't know.
No, she went to Ukraine for a few months, war-torn, in August.
Right.
Paid €15,000 to get pregnant. And look, I am incredibly sensitive to women's desires to be mothers. I have been through IVF unsuccessfully twice.
It's dreadful, apparently.
And it's horrendous for your health.
Yeah.
Horrendous. It's horrendous for your mind. And I got to a stage quite substantially younger than this lady where I decided it's just not good for me. It's not good for the health of any child I might have at 63 years old. Now, the average age of life expectancy in Italy, I didn't just throw this together, I did some research, it's 82, all right? So your child is 19, but what if she dies before then or whatever? And your quality of your health and your life, she's a librarian. I don't know anything about her life. So
do you know if she has any other children?
She may be a billionaire, she may have been a mother
Does
before.
she have any other children?
Don't know any more information than that. I don't speak Italian, and that was really where most of the information was. But I do just think,
why?
Yeah, really, to put yourself through that, and to put your child through that, and then to put society through that, it's probably going to have to pick up the pieces if you die. I just think it's a bit selfish.
Yes. But at over 60, you're not as able to do all the things that you need to be able to do.
Over 40, I'm not as able to do.
I
I just got a puppy recently, and honestly, it made me think, thank goodness it didn't work. That is hard work.
It is.
Well, yeah.
It is hard
work. It depends if she has a partner, right?
Don't go on holiday.
You've got like Robert De Niro, who's like 80.
She went alone, so
But that's an interesting point, isn't it? Because people like Robert De Niro and Ronnie Wood. And, I'm not sure if...
Hang on, they have the commonality of many millions behind them.
Well, they do, but they don't seem to get such a hard time, though. People don't say to Robert De Niro, what are you doing having a child? You'll be dead by the time
Well,
it's
it wasn't my fault.
Because it's still a very maternal view that actually, she may have a 30-year-old partner, and forgive me, that partner can also look after. But I just think you also have to look at the fact of the health of the child.
Yes.
Thankfully, Sebastian seems very healthy. But it's true with men as well as it is with women. Women tend to get the blame for this, for children being unwell after a certain age, but it's just the same for men. Your sperm quality goes down. But she must have gone to get IVF treatment, presumably with a sperm donation and with an egg donation. So this child is not hers at all.
Because she wouldn't have got all that in
Why
Ukraine,
couldn't she get adoption? I don't know. Maybe it's the rules in Italy. I don't know.
Have you got children?
I just think...
No.
But that's the thing as well, Italy. I seem to remember. I seem to remember that there was another Italian woman some years ago who was in her early 60s, obviously maybe not 63. So it must be a thing in Italy that people do.
No, it happens in the UK. I think the oldest woman was 66. She had a child in 2009. I think the oldest woman is 74 that's had a baby.
Yeah. We're not replacing the people. We're becoming top-heavy old, aren't we?
Yes.
Well,
I suppose we keep being told we've got a lowering birth rate and that people need to have more children because, again, a lot of younger women...
here as well.
A lot of young...
Just over in...
I mean, you're too old now, aren't you?
James!
Really?
You literally just said I looked young and now you're telling me I'm too old.
You said you were over 30.
I'm 30.
You haven't even started. I mean, you're going to be...
I'm not ready. I'm not ready mentally.
You see, I have to say, and I'm not suggesting
you were a very young father.
I was a father at 18.
I was going to say, I'm not. No.
My kids are great, but I was a father at 18. And at that time, you had nothing was in your mind about the seriousness of the situation. So I just had to go out and find ways of making money to do it.
Yeah.
But I think, once you get a bit older, it's a real
funny enough,
strain
times
having
haven't
young
really changed because a lot of people still have children quite young.
Yeah, of course.
But the more sort of, I would say, middle class people are, the less likely they are to have children at all.
But I think
and that's part of the problem.
I think it's become easier for women to delay it. Life has become easier.
Right. And science has made it easier as well because you can get IVF into your 40s.
To a certain extent, I do think that women have been sold a bit of a, not to go down this route, but I think we've been sold a bit of a pup, actually. That these treatments like egg freezing are successful. It's very, very small percentage chance of success with egg freezing. IVF, again, I'm an IVF failure, as it were. It's not a guarantee, and it's a horrendous treatment.
It's also not easy or cheap.
But I think what is...
See, I'm one of those, and you probably won't agree with me on this, I'm one of those that doesn't think you should get that on the NHS, because the NHS has got enough problems without treating people who can't get pregnant, who want to get pregnant, with a process which is very costly and doesn't necessarily work.
So I was in an interesting... it's a bit of a lottery. So I was living in Yorkshire at the time. You can get it free under 40, moved down to Surrey... free.
Oh, it's different.
After 35. It depends where you live. I'm sort of on the side of that, but there are certain people, for example, if you have cancer when you're younger, that you can have IVF for free because obviously you've got a few issues. And I think that's absolutely
that's justified.
But that should be prioritised.
Okay.
It's hard to say this, but it's not. I don't know if it's a fundamental right that you should absolutely have to.
Well, you have just made the
IVF
62-year-old Italian mother a plank, so I mean.
I know, exactly. I just think. I know that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
No, it's good.
But
no, it's good.
Yeah, okay then.
It's fine. Will, over to you.
Well,
this is good.
Sadly, I'm going to take this on to an even more serious subject. And really, there's not much more I can say other than fatties for Palestine.
Yes.
Right. Another disenchanted, alienated, isolated group of ne'er-do-wells who inevitably want to associate themselves with something which is so distorted, supports
Is this
terrorism.
actually genuine? This is not an
No, this is genuine. There's genuine.
Right.
You made it up.
No, seriously, fatties for Palestine.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you what, we've got a clip. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look.
Every single form of oppression is inherently and intimately connected. So for me, my hope is that if you are following my page for fat liberation content and you yourself are a fat liberationist, that you are actively standing in solidarity in whatever ways that you can with the people of Palestine. There's a fundraiser that y'all need to go and support immediately. It's a collaboration between a fat Palestinian American activist, a illustrator, and a creator on the internet. All three of them came together to produce this shirt. I will say some of the sizes are limited.
Presumably they've got one size.
I wasn't sure there, Michael, but was it a fundraiser or a food raiser?
I couldn't tell.
Not sure.
What is
fat liberation?
Fat liberation content.
Fat liberation. I mean, fundamentally, this comes back to circles back to the thing that we've all talked about, which is about social media degrading and destroying society and people who are demanding attention. And fundamentally, I don't think we can... You don't have to do any sort of high-level psychological analysis on this, but these are people who feel alienated, they need to associate themselves to something, and this is the fashionable thing of the time.
Give it time, Royal Stoke Hospital will have a flag.
Fatties forever.
They'll be part of...
And also...
Are we allowed to say fat?
Well,
we
can say
fatties, yeah. I can.
Also, of course, if they self-identify as a fatty, then you must allow them to do so.
I don't think you can say a chubby.
Not skinny. Are you?
Neither am I.
No.
I spent a lot of money getting to look like this.
Exactly.
I do say that to people.
Big investment.
Yes, huge.
I'd like to be thinner, wouldn't you?
Not really.
No?
No.
I'd like to be a bit thinner.
Yeah.
But I'd like to go back to how I was at 21.
Yes, it depends, doesn't it? What you want. I mean, if somebody
Yeah.
said you can be thinner by doing this, I mean, I don't want to be given a fat jab, for example. I don't want to lose
wouldn't
weight.
take Ozempic?
No, I don't think so, because I don't know what it's going to do to me.
No.
You know, I mean, I'd rather pour, 4 bottles of wine down my throat, which
and you do.
Which is how I got like this.
Yeah, you do.
The point is that...
But from my side, look, if you want to be fat, great, be fat.
Yeah.
If you're unhappy being fat and you feel isolated, do something about it.
But don't be a fatty for Palestine. We've got another clip, by the way. Have a look at this.
Oh, awesome.
In the land of watermelon people, sort of near the bottom where the tents are, there is a magic portal through which, if you use your coins and your gold and your gems and all the things you saved up, you can flee to safety, or at least relative safety. But it's going to close because the Pew Brigade is coming.
She talks about the Pew Brigade.
Can I just ask a
I was
question?
part of a Pew Brigade, but it was a different kind of Pew Brigade.
I'm not sure. In both of those cases, both of those videos, are they both women, or did they identify as something else?
Yeah,
I don't know.
women.
Are they? I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
They may not. They may
Sorry, I don't know. I didn't ask. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would be wrong to misgender.
Yeah.
This is why I'm asking the question. I don't want to get it wrong.
Nor do
the cat.
Nor do I,
Which
because I
James
really
followed
care.
the cat in that
Do you
last
gender on social media?
No, of course not.
No, I block anybody I see on X or anything. I just block them.
A shame for them.
You know, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do
I mean,
you
it's
gender?
I mean, even for...
do.
No, I don't, James.
You sure?
I don't. Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, even before...
I mean, there's really not much more to say, Michael, other than
but of all the
fatties
groups
for
that we've seen...
Palestine. It answers itself.
We've seen Queers for Palestine, which is also pretty plankish.
Brilliant.
But Fatties for Palestine just takes the biscuit, doesn't it?
Be a queer in Palestine and find out what you get.
I was going to say, I think that's worse than
skydiving lessons.
Oh, hang on.
From
We've got something else here for you. They're selling Fatties for Palestine candles. I wonder what they're made of. Are they
fatty body candles?
That looks like one of those perfume bottles that they do in the shape of
Looks like a melted ice cream.
You know, the Jean-Paul Gaultier.
I thought it was a Buddha.
It looks like that, except it's a fat person. Yeah.
He was fat.
I can't believe it's
if
not
he
Buddha.
ever existed.
Yeah, but we like Buddha.
Do we?
Yes.
Oh, the record label. Oh, it's going back longer than you, isn't it?
No. But I mean, it is now, it's just the popular thing to do now in any university, presumably, is to form a society with the word Palestine in it.
Yeah.
So you can tramp around, sit in a tent. What's happened to all the
There's always going to be, every week there'll be a new group.
Oh,
There'll be doggers for Palestine soon, James.
I wish we'd never mentioned it. That's your fault. You've got a new puppy and you keep bringing it
Doggers
up.
for Palestine.
That's
the new one.
But it's not about Palestine. It's not about oil. It's not about anything. It's a race to the bottom for whatever comes before the Palestine, like fatties, like Queers, whatever. To feel like they've got, I don't know, some sort of a group,
connection.
a community,
It's a connection.
something, because they're being oppressed.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're self-oppressed, Georgie.
But
They're
why-
self-oppressed. This is the problem. It's the poor me victimisation syndrome.
How have we got
I'm
to
also
that
like,
stage?
Is everyone studying human rights at these universities?
No, they're not studying anything by the look at it.
Yeah.
Of it.
No.
I've got a new organisation.
What's it called?
Fatties for Food.
I think you've already started that. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
But going back to these
I joined
university campuses and the camps and the tents are all set up, they've all gone. Why? Because they're all off on summer holidays.
Yeah.
So not even that committed to the cause. I mean, why don't they go and set up a camp somewhere in Gaza and see how long that lasts?
Oh, I seriously, I think, I do subscribe to the whole mantra. If you're not happy with this country, you're happy with another country and you want to promote that, go to that country.
Yeah.
What's stopping you?
Absolutely.
Go down there, enjoy that. Why continue to suffer
If you
here
go to France,
if you're not enjoying it?
If you go to France, make sure you take passport.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Unless you're a parent.
Yeah, indeed. Now, coming up next, it's one of those awful virtue signalling rock and roll bands. I'm not even sure they fit to be called that, but that's going to be my final nomination. It's coming next on Plank of the Week. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. It's very unruly, this crowd here. They keep talking over each other, even when I ask them not to talk over each other, but it's a brilliant show. Thank you very much indeed. My final nomination is everybody's favourite band, one that they really love to hate, not U2, but Coldplay. Chris Martin, of course, the man who was famous for deciding that he wanted to be more sustainable, and he decided one time when they were building a new stage, and they were building a new set, and they were touring around the world, that he would plant some trees in Sri Lanka, because he knew that would offset his carbon footprint. But unfortunately for him, he planted them in this place. It was so hot that the trees all burst into flames and burned down, thereby creating an even bigger carbon footprint than the one he took. But he's put out this very week, he's put out a statement. And this is a sustainability update from Coldplay. And it says this: when we first announced the Music of the Spheres tour in 2021, we pledged to reduce our direct carbon emissions from show production, freight, band and crew travel by at least 50%. He says, we're happy to report that direct CO2e emissions from the first 2 years of this tour are 59% less than our previous stadium tour in 2016 on a show-by-show comparison. And then he says, these figures have been verified by the MIT Environmental Solutions Initiative. Now, I've never heard a bigger bunch of absolute nothing garbage in my entire life.
What about his Scope 3 emissions, though?
Well, because the point is that you can find any organisation. It's like these people who basically milk idiots like Chris Martin and say, look, if you want to plant £60,000 worth of trees, give me £100,000 and I'll take care of that for you. So they give him all this money. He goes and plants a load of trees. They burn down. He thinks he's saved the planet. He hasn't. People at MIT...
I wonder if at MIT they've got a new science block that's magically appeared.
Yeah.
It's called the Martin block.
Yeah. Most of all, we'd like to thank everyone who's come to a show and helped charge the show batteries on the power bikes and kinetic dance floors, he goes. Everyone has arrived by foot, by bike, ride share or public transport. Everyone who's come with refillable water bottles or returned their LED wristband for recycling. And everyone who's bought a ticket, which means you've already planted one of 7 million trees.
Wait, how do you police how people get to a show?
You can't.
No,
It's
he's
all
saying
rubbish.
thank you for all those who have.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying
But the point
no one
is,
dropped.
you know,
There's only 20% of the
but
audience.
let's just remember, at the very top, he says he's managed to reduce emissions by at least 50%, right? That means he's still causing an awful lot of carbon emissions into the... So my suggestion for Chris Martin and Coldplay, just don't bother touring.
Agreed.
Just don't do anything.
Yeah.
And then you won't cause any
Much better for
problems at all.
society, I think.
Right?
I think the fact they don't tour would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Actually. And no more albums either.
Yeah.
The most...
You're not light here? I think they're quite good.
No, they used to be good, but now they just consider... This is what happens in Britain. You'll get used to this. After a while, people like something for a while, and then everybody starts kicking them to death.
So you have tall poppy syndrome here as well?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Have you not been here very long?
But Chris Martin is...
9 months. James, I learn on the show.
She only ever goes to Soho, so she never learns anything.
You've never been to Soho?
No, she goes to Soho.
not go with him.
Mike's got it in his head that I'm this rich girl that flaunts around London.
I've never said that.
He knows that I work here, so I can't be.
No,
I've got an important question before we move on.
Yeah, go on. We can't move on. We're nearly at the end.
Okay. Who checks that 7 million trees have
Nobody.
been planted?
This is what I'm saying. The likes of, old Harry and Meghan, Elton John, all these people have private jets, and they go, oh, yeah, we offset our carbon. And you can go to this company which will offset the carbon for you. You pay them a bucket load of money, they make you feel better, and they say they've planted some trees. Well, who knows?
Do you know what? I'm all for reducing when you want. I don't care. I'm not up for the debate on climate change, but you just don't need to tell people. Like, why can't...
No, he does, though.
But that's what I mean.
Because it's virtue signaling.
If Coldplay's touring around the world, you can do that and be like, hey, guys, we're going to try and reduce our carbon in our shows. It doesn't... Not everything from celebrities needs to be announced to the world.
No, but they need to do it because that's what they feed on.
It's a shtick,
they have to have it.
Thing.
And, it's probably U2 will come up with, because they have this rivalry, don't they? U2 will probably come up with an even better way of saving carbon.
Maybe that's what you need to do to boost your celebrity status.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I can. I can't boost it anymore, James.
Well, no, but, you could add a bit on by doing your programme in a kind of zero pollution way.
I mean, we've got absolutely no one working here.
I mean,
but James, I'd never be invited back.
I did a few years ago to make my Christmas more sustainable.
We're not going to go concrete.
No, we're not going to do concrete. But we replanted. I replanted the Christmas tree, right? And for months and months and months, it was going really, really well. And people actually believed that I'd replanted it and thought that I'd done such a brilliant thing because it was growing in the grass, in the garden.
Oh, that's
people do plant.
I've still got my Christmas tree.
What they didn't know, though, was that with every month that passed, as it got browner and browner, I was spraying it green. And they all thought that it was still alive until finally all the spruce things fell off. What's that noise?
That's you.
It's not me.
Oh.
Who's ringing?
That's my phone taken away on the table.
James's alarm has gone off. It's time for him to go back to the secure unit.
Can you reach it or not? I'm wired in.
Reach it. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, just undo it.
Oh, here it is.
Press stop.
Yeah. Here we go.
Well,
I'll put it on snooze.
I know you. Oh, right.
That's a nice looking dog.
What are you waking up for?
I know you'll edit this all out.
No,
so
we
I don't
won't.
care.
We're
yes,
not.
you will.
No, we're keeping it all.
So as somebody living with cancer.
Tablets.
No. Oh, hang on. I've got a little bit.
James.
Okay, listen, I might as well do it on the air.
I've only got herpes.
Okay.
Now, I don't know about you guys. I haven't, for a long time, awarded this money to one of my own nominations because people started to say it was getting too ridiculous. But I think today and this week, because it's D-Day, I think it might have to be the French. I think the French deserve the plank, so we're going to give it to them for making the Paras.
Is that you, Will?
Provide.
No.
No, it's mine.
Oh, you can fix yourself. Sorry.
Yeah. See, it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's a selfless thing. It's not about that. It's about the fact that it just happens to be the best one.
No, I think you're right.
That's my vote.
So here we are. Let's do
mine.
it. Yeah. Plank of the week to the French. Pop off. Or was it Up Yours Delors? It used to
Up
be.
Yours Delors, yeah.
Thank you very much indeed to Maddie. Thank you to James. I'll give you your phone back in a minute. Thank you to Georgie. Thank you to Will. We'll be back same time next week. This is Plank of the Week.